Hello, dear friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be coloring the red roses and the golden frame in Copics of this beautiful image by Portia Nemeno. I'm going to be starting with the red rose here. I thought I'd show you not quite a tutorial, but a mini tutorial on how I did these. I'm using Copics. The two red colors I'm using, the darker one is R59 Cardinal and the lighter one is R29 Lipstick Red. And I start with the dark one here, and I started with the light one, with the Cardinal, and I just sort of gently outlined the edges and colored the interior of this rose in. I did these roses quite quickly because I thought that I wanted to spend most of my attention on the gold of the frame. So I wanted to tell you that I bought this lovely image by Portia Nemeno was actually available to me as a freebie in a different group I belonged to. It was only available for a short time for a special event that took place, but it is available in her Etsy shop, and I will put a link to it in case you're interested. I bought it as a PDF. I mean, it came as a PDF, and I printed it on HP Hewlett-Packard Color Choice Color Lock 160 GSM paper, which I used because I wanted to use markers, and I bought this paper and I find it really nice with markers, and one can blend with the markers on it quite nicely. There are various types of paper that work well with markers. I know the Nina bright white that many people like also works very well. So now, having just colored the whole of the interior with that, I take this darker color, the R59 Cardinal, and I outlined the petals, and then I did some of the darker areas with that, which the artist shows very, very nicely. The artist is Portia Nemeno, as I mentioned. She shows very nicely where the sort of slightly shaded areas are. And I just did sort of little bits with this darker red, and then I went over the whole of it again with the lighter red. I'm sorry, my hand is really masking the petals here. I didn't think about that while I was coloring. It's quite difficult to sometimes realize what one's doing. I didn't film myself coloring the face or the hair with this. I thought I wanted to concentrate on just doing the flower and then some of the metal for the frame, and so that it didn't end up as a very long video. I do love the Copic markers. I must say, I know that they're very expensive, but you can use these same techniques with other markers. So I just thought I'd share this. I love this deep rose color that came out here, and I landed up feeling quite happy with how this image ended up. So as you can see, I'm doing sort of light flicky bits in some of the places where there would be shadows from the other petals, and then going over them again with the lighter red, which sort of blends them out. Each time you go, if you use a Copic and then you go over it once again, it deepens the shade, but it also bleaches or helps it to blend if you've got the right paper and you've got colors that are close enough together to do that. So these are not very close colors, but they both have a 9 at the end. So the sort of shading is the same, although the one is much darker than the other. So I was fairly happy with this. I mean, I didn't want to put loads and loads of detail into this rose. I wanted to also, while I'm busy doing this, say a huge thank you. I have in my information area under my videos, a few people have asked me if I wouldn't share both an Amazon wish list and any other way. I've had sort of private messages from people that wanted to support the channel. And so I also added my Ko-fi, K-O-F-I link. And I've had 3 unbelievably kind people that have supported me in Ko-fi and given me some bucks in that. So with that, I've actually bought 2 or 3 more images from Etsy, and I'll share those with you a little bit later, not in this video, but in another video, and show you what I got, and then maybe do a particular area in one of the images that I can share how I color. Now, the colors I'm using for this gold, as you can see, the artist has shaded really nicely. And when, as you all know, or if you're a new colorist and you don't know, when you use gold, you don't just use one color, you need to use quite a few. And I'm using 5 colors for this. Going from the darkest is this one, which is E37, which I'm trying to use to do the cast shadows and the edges and to create some depth in the picture. So that's E37. And you can see where the artist has kind of grayed out areas. I use some of those areas as well with this. And I'm trying to get quite fine lines. So I'm pressing very lightly. And it really, if you're not used to using Copics or anything or brush tip markers, don't beat yourself up if you can't get fine lines. I struggle terribly sometimes. They are getting better. And as with anything, the more you practice, the better you get with it. So I'm hoping to get a lot better still. So I think this is, I've interpreted this to be a kind of a metal frame with this portrait inside it of quite serious looking lady. And it looks like I'm outlining, but I'm actually creating shadows with this dark color. And then just filling in some of the shaded areas here and there. So then I'm going to go in over that with the next color, which is E23. I'm still busy with the E37. I will list these colors for the roses and the gold frame for you. Now we're with E23. It's called Hazelnut. And I'm going over the dark color again and then extending it a little bit further. Same on the edge. I'm going over the dark color and extending it a little further. So I'm very excited today. I love British TV, and we used to have, like, I suppose what in the States you would equate to a type of a cable channel, and that just ended up getting terribly expensive. So we cancelled that and I joined Netflix, which I quite enjoy, but I use my South African VPN or whatever you call the thing, and the choices we get in South Africa are not as great as what you get in America on our Netflix, and there are some really nice programs and things, but I've been pining a little bit for some of the British programs that I absolutely loved, especially the detective series and things. And today a new TV streaming service for us in South Africa called BritBox opened up, and I have a Samsung TV, and it can be streamed through that. So I'm going to, when I'm finished with this video, I'm going to be going and watching some nice TV on BritBox. So next color here is Y38, and the name of this is Honey. And so once again, do excuse me just a minute. Sorry, I paused the video. I have a bit of a frog in my throat. So I'm again going over the previous color and extending it and filling in some of the areas. I want to leave some highlight places, and I also want some places in this frame to be darker and more goldy. So I'm trying to decide where the highlights are and leaving them white. I didn't actually leave any of the frame completely white, which I would normally do when I'm using pencils, and I sometimes do it with Copics, but in this particular picture I didn't. I ended up using a very light lemon to be the highlight. And so now my next color on this is Y15, which is called cadmium yellow, and going over everything. And as you can see, I use a kind of a painterly, flicky motion when I'm at the end of the stroke, just to bring it in. And I go over a whole lot to lighten it all up and blend it together. And then going over the whole lot, which one could leave white, but I wanted it to just blend in a bit better. I'm using Y11, which is pale yellow. So then I thought that looked okay, but I decided it needed a second coat. So I repeat the entire process again, which gives it a bit more depth of color. And also, although these are alcohol markers, they are still a little bit damp, and they just tend to blend together better in the second coat. One of the nice things about this paper is that the markers don't feather or bleed on the edges. They just, you can see, they kind of give you a nice crisp kind of an edging, or whatever you'd call it. And so then we're going to go through with all the colors again. So once again, just to remind you, this is E37. And I followed this process throughout the entire frame. So I haven't filmed myself doing the whole frame. I thought that would just be too long. I just thought this could be a quicker video showing you a bit of technique in how I do this. I'd love to know if you like to see things like this occasionally as well. Trying to add a bit more in the tutorial line here. And now we're going in once again with E23, and I kind of dotted a little bit with this and then went over. I didn't want this to become too thick, so I just wanted to extend the other line a little bit, and I used this sort of, I can't remember what you call it when you dot, it'll come to me when I've finished filming. It's an amazing thing. When you don't need a word, it's there. When you do, it isn't. So I was cooking earlier today. I made some lovely pancakes, or flapjacks we call them in South Africa. I think in America they're the things we see on TV that you guys often have for breakfast. I have them as a snack. I've never really had those for breakfast. So now I'm going in with the next one, which is Y38, honey, and extending the other, just bringing it out a bit more. So I'm eyeballing this a little bit. Looking at things. Can you see how much richer the colors look with the second coat or the second layer? You don't have to. If you're happy with one layer, that's absolutely fine. I just wanted to show you how I do it if I want to try and turn it out looking better. I colour in all sorts of different ways, sometimes in a quickly, never mind, and sometimes trying my best. This is Y15, cadmium yellow, once again, and trying to leave that little bit lighter. And then over it all with the Y11. So here's the completed image. I added some little gel pen dots on the flowers and a little bit of white pencil crayon, white pencil in some of the areas, and I just wanted to let you see how the gold turned out at the end, and then to let you see the complete image. So I'm actually really happy with how she turned out. I think that it's one of my better efforts, and I really hope that you've enjoyed watching this video. Let me know what you think, and let me know if you'd like more content like this in the future. Thank you for joining me, and I wish you a really wonderful, lovely, colourful day. Bye-bye now.